Meeting, well, you wait, you said 10 seconds, right?
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to the July 26, 2021 Select Board Meeting. First thing we would have is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all join me? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the acceptance and correction of minutes from 7/12/21 public minutes.
Make a motion to accept the 7/12/21 public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 5-0-0. We do have one correspondence. Did you want me to read that now, Andy's letter?
You can. I put it on the table now also because under old business I had some updates to questions on the East Union pump station. So if you want to do it now or as part of that discussion.
Okay, we'll do a part of that discussion when
Okay.
we get there. Okay. Senator, how long are you gonna need?
As long as it takes.
I don't even wanna go there.
I want to be concise and accurate and succinct.
All right, so we won't go to you quite yet then, because that's gonna be. I can wait till I get some time.
Okay, thank you.
Derek, why don't we take Adam? We can get him done in a few minutes, can't we?
Yes. Yep. So tab number 4.
Right. Thank you.
I will also try to be concise and succinct. How's that? Okay, thank you.
We've got more control over you than we do.
I get the big gong show hook. So I've got 3 items tonight. All 3 are equipment related as part of the capital improvement program for this year, but also one outstanding from last year. In the memo in your packet, we've got the bid results for the 10-wheel dump truck outfit, the body and the plow package. That had previously, the cabin chassis was previously awarded. We opened bids on the 16th of July for the dump body and plow gear. We received 5 bids. The low bidder, however, has since retracted or requested that we not take advantage of their bid. They had some errors in their bidding, and it's quite a bit lower than was intended.
And we had issues with that bidder before.
We did. We have since that time purchased some equipment from them with good results, so wouldn't have been bad news to go with them again for sure, but they had requested based on basically steel pricing. They had
Okay.
some adjustments that they failed to make prior to the bid, so they would not have been the low bidder had they made those adjustments. So the resulting low bidder would be a recommendation. That would be a Viking Civis USA. We've ordered 2 trucks now to them, a 1.5 ton and a 6-wheel dump truck. Been happy with the bid, with the bill quality, I should say. So the CIP amount for the 10-wheel dump truck total was $220,000 for the 2021 CIP. The cabin chassis was $126,275, which left just under $100,000. The recommended award to Viking Civis as specified would be $91,300. So I don't know if you want me to go through all 3 and take the motions up.
Want to just do them one at a time, Derek?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll make a motion to award 10-wheel dump body and plow bid to Viking Civis USA in the amount of $91,300.
Second. Motion by Chet, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Second item, we have a wheeled excavator also in the 2021 CIP for the year. The CIP amount set aside is $200,000. Originally, that was specified in CIP as either a new or a used late model. We still would be requesting that flexibility, but we'd like to put it out to bid to see what's out on the market right now. Some of the vendors are not telling us they have too much on the lot, but we may luck out. So bid specifications were in your packet, and with your permission, we'd like to advertise for bids and hopefully award that probably not the next meeting, but the meeting after.
Make a motion, we'll advertise the wheel excavator bid specifications as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, 500.
Thank you. And the third and final item tonight is we have a 1.5 ton dump truck, which is a Ford F550 with a spreader body and a front and wing plow. This is the last step of a 2020 CIP project. So last year we awarded purchase of a truck that has since been delivered from final upfitter, and it's ready to be disposed of as surplus. So the municibid.com auctions went pretty well last time. We got some pretty decent prices compared to what we expected. So with your permission, I'd like to advertise this truck on Municibid. We expect somewhere in the framework of $10,000 to $15,000, but I wouldn't have guessed how high some of the bids went, so it may even be higher than that this time. It's a 2009 Ford F550 with a VIN number, as you see in the memo. It's got just under 91,000 miles. It's been prepared for sale, and we can get that out on Municipid this week if the board wants to go that way. If you do, my recommended motion would include authorization for the chair to sign the transfer title to the highest bidder. That way we don't have to, it gets a little tricky with those auctions as far as the board meeting schedule goes, and making sure that we don't lose somebody once we have a high bidder if we don't respond within a certain number of days. So that's the recommendation from Municipid, is to try to get that approval as soon as possible. If the board sees fit, you could do that, and the chair sign the title.
Is there any reason we can't sign the titles before?
I think only that we wouldn't know necessarily. It'd be a partial, it'd be a signature, but you wouldn't have the transferee information. I think.
Well, I mean, if time is of the essence, I would think, if when nobody's around and you need to have it right away. I mean, like I got called in last week that, hey, you got to come right down and sign this.
Can we authorize two of us to do, the vice chair?
Well, the
too?
vice chair could do it too, yeah. If I'm not around, the vice chair could do it.
I think with Adam's coordination and working with Danielle, we'll know when the Municipid online auction will end, so we can perhaps prepare
Okay.
either one of you to come in right close to that. Because in the last one, we had a couple of out-of-state bidders that had to come for quite a ways, so timing wasn't as urgent, whereas there are some people that want to pick it up.
And there was an issue with how the New Jersey handled it.
Yeah, New Jersey was a little bit complicated on what they accepted for some of the paperwork, so we might have to work out some of those.
Okay. Motion?
Motion to authorize the DPW director to advertise the 2009 Ford F550 dump truck on municibid.com online auction, and authorize the chair to transfer title to the highest bidder.
Second.
The only thing I would say, the chair is the vice chair. That's,
Yeah, chair, vice chair.
yeah. Okay, motion by Mark, it was seconded by Jim. Any discussion?
You guys call it.
Call us. Second.
Oh, would you call us? Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion
Peter, I
passed.
assume in these types of situations, if the chair isn't available to sign for it, it would automatically default to the vice chair, I would assume.
Well, we'll just make sure,
Yeah,
this clears it up.
I'm just-
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
It is now 6:10, time for public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll have Senator D'Alessandro come up and speak. Tell us how great we're doing.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chief. This is great. It's a great American day. That's all I have to say. I'm proud to be here with the police chief, who's one of the most distinguished in all Americans in the community. Chief, wonderful to see you. And the fire chief, who keeps everything cool and calm here in this state. So, gentlemen, thank you for your service. And of course, the Public Works Director, he's had many titles in this town, so he's redoing them. So congratulations.
We should be thanking your wife for following
Yeah,
you around everywhere else.
And my wife is with me tonight. The better half of the couple is here. And my wife, Pat D'Alessandro.
By the way, I caught the fire chief keeping things cool, that was very good.
It's been a tough year. It's been a tough year. As you know, the Senate was meeting virtually for an extended period of time. I had some emergency surgery during the year and was allowed to meet virtually for my position in the Senate when we come back, and I came back for the last couple of sessions. It was an interesting year. Obviously, the amount of money rolling into this state is quite unbelievable. The COVID-19 money was $1.25 billion. The governor appointed a committee, the Gopher Committee. I was on that committee to decide where these monies could be spent. The governor made most of the decisions himself, and some communities have benefited from it, some have not. But that $1.25 million, the last time I checked, there was $25 million left. The committee held $25 million in reserve. There are areas where the money was not spent. That money will be rolled back. It's got to be spent by December. If it's not, it goes back to the federal government. But $1.25 billion was a considerable amount of money. There was there was some concern as to how that money would be accepted or not. The legislature filed suit to get control, because in the past all of those monies have come through the fiscal committee. That court case was rejected, and the money came directly through the governor's office. As I said, $1.25 billion, and the last time I checked, there was $25 million in reserve. $50 million went to the Unemployment Compensation Fund to restore that, because of the number of people who are seeking unemployment benefits. And you know, we had the special, the $600 add-on to the amount of money that you were receiving, and then the $300 add-on, which the governor curtailed, and hopefully we'll get employment started again. We still have about 24,000 people collecting unemployment compensation at this point in time. The unemployment rate is at about 2.5%. But we haven't filled jobs. We just cannot fill jobs. In the hospitality industry, there are 17,000 vacancies. 17,000 jobs are required. And some of the eating facilities are closing on Mondays and Tuesdays because they can't get the staff. So we've got to get people back to work. The fiscal committee in this last meeting accepted a proposal where $10 million was put aside, and it was broken down into two categories. There's the $1,000 appropriation for a person looking for a job, and if you stay on that job for 8 weeks, you get the $1,000 bonus. And then there's a $500 bonus that follows the same pattern, but it's a different series of jobs. There's $10 million in that fund. So if you're looking for people and they need an incentive to go back to work, that incentive is available through the Department of Employment Security. And Commissioner Kapadas is the guy to see with regard to that. There's $10 million in that fund. The American Recovery Act, which the town has received a percentage, every city received a certain amount of money, the counties received a certain amount of money, the state got about $1 billion, almost $1 billion. The first part of it was accepted at the last fiscal committee meeting, and I am a member of the fiscal committee. There'll be a special fiscal committee meeting on the 5th of August to accept more of that money. Now, a significant portion of that money was dedicated to capital projects. And as a result, what we were able to do was, the capital budget was in place. We were able to remove items from the capital budget, fund those with the monies from the Recovery Act, and keep the capital budget intact and not increase the amount of money spent so that it would have a negative effect on our payment schedule. So that was a good thing. Those projects are basically Health and Human Services and a few highway projects. And I think that was a good use of the money. I serve on the Capital Budget Committee. We were able to work that out with the House. And the capital budget really flew through without any problems. And that should bode well for the state of New Hampshire to get those projects done. We've had a lot of deferred maintenance. If you've been to state buildings, the deferred maintenance is incredible, particularly the old New Hampshire hospital grounds. So something had to be done there. We've got a sewerage problem that we have had since I've been in state government at the Philbrook Center, and that's got to be taken care of. We've got to deal with those things. And I think we have to deal with water and sewerage. That's going to be haunting us as we move forward. The last major changes there were done more than 50 years ago, when the federal government provided 75% of the money, the state provided 20%, and the local municipalities were asked to come up with 5%. That's the last time we've done any major work statewide. So those projects are getting tired as we speak, and they need some help. Water is going to become more and more of a problem. Through the Water Trust, the city of Manchester received a grant to take its water, to build the ability to send water south to Kingston and to Salem. That's a gravity situation, so you don't need the pumping stations. Manchester already services Derry and services part of Goffstown, and we will be sending at its peak 3.5 million gallons a day south to areas that really need the water. This will provide for economic development. It will sustain houses where where wells are not performing as they should, and the current water supply down there will be supplemented. That's a big deal, and that water trust is a big, big deal for New Hampshire. Senator Morse had a lot to do with that, as did Senator Feltus. They use that money appropriately, use it wisely for the benefit of the citizens of the state. And the PFAS problem exists in Merrimack and in surrounding areas, and those wells are being polluted. And a grant was given, or a loan was given to a company to extend the water lines from Pennachuck into the Merrimack area so they could get water, because those people were on bottled water. So I see that as a major concern for all of us, for all of our communities. And the treatment of waste is another very, very significant problem. Manchester has broken ground for another water facility, and I think that's going to be advantageous for everybody. And Manchester Water has always been considered to be excellent water. I can't take a lot of credit for it, but I was president of Manchester Water Works for a number of years, and it's a wonderful enterprise system, and it's worked very well for the city of Manchester, and it's worked very well for the state. We have a new budget that started on the 1st of July. What I've brought for you, for your town manager, is I've got a sheet that goes over all of the appropriations for the district, and that's Manchester and Goffstown. Now, some of these are NA because we haven't got them in the system yet. But what I have for you is what you received in 2021, all of your federal, your state money in 2021, 20 and 21, both on your side and on the school side. So you know how much you're getting in education grants. Now, where the NAs are, we'll fill in those numbers as soon as they get processed. But at the present time, I went to LBA today, we don't have the numbers. We don't have the numbers. And as far as schools are concerned, you got to worry about the ADM because that's going to pop out, and we'll get specific numbers by September when the first payment takes place. But what I've tried to provide for you is where we were in 20 and 21 and projections of where we'll be for 22, 23. There's going to be a few dramatic changes. There won't be any municipal aid. They cut that out. They cut that out of the budget. I take credit for that because I got that in, the $20 billion a year for the communities, because we haven't been receiving the aid that we should be receiving as a result of the deal that was made in 1968, having to do with the transition from the stock and trade tax to the business profits tax. So revenue sharing is out again. All right, we won't have revenue sharing, but there are a number of other things. And I think one thing that should please you is the amount of money that you receive from the rooms and meals tax will increase from 900,000 to 1.2 billion in both years. So I'll leave this with the town manager so that you can see it and he can distribute it to you.
Sorry.
Hey, sure, hello. That's a great greeting. I get very few hellos when I come to places. It's usually the other side. things are gonna change a little bit in the second year of the biennium as far as education is concerned, because 100 million has been removed from the statewide property tax. That will have an effect on our community, on this community. I mean, generally speaking, it should amount to about 50 cents a thousand on your rate. Now, what does that do? That tax was never collected by the state, it was retained at the municipality. If it produced more than you needed, it was retained at the municipality and went into the schools. But that's a dramatic change that's going to take place in the second year of the biennium. So I think be conscious of that in terms of dealing with the school budget, and we'll have to work on the school budget in the second year. House Bill 1 and House Bill 2 were loaded with public policy this time. And I will get you a copy of House Bill 1 and House Bill 2. They only printed a few of them. As a result of that, we have to go to the copy machine and make copies now. So we'll take care of that at no expense to the town. It'll be absorbed by our office. It's a voluminous document. As I said, there's a lot of policy in that document. That policy affects health and welfare. It affects what you can say, and there's been a court decision. The Attorney General has made a decision on that. And there are a number of other very significant policy items. So, do we have town council? No, we don't.
Oh, the town attorney, yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do, yep.
Then I would recommend that when you get a copy of the bill, and I'll make sure you get one by the end of the month, somebody look at it and review all of the sections. There are over 100 sections in this bill. And for those of us who have served in the legislature, and Selectman Craig served in the legislature, this bill never contained the kind of policy that it contains now. Bills that were tabled or rejected in the House and in the Senate were included in this document. That's a rarity, and that really shouldn't happen. You know, policy should be left out of a financial document unless it relates directly with financing something. Well, there's a lot of policy in here. There's a lot of, as I said, there's health and human services policy, there's education policy, and there's policy with regard to the new grants that will be given to people who homeschool and who want to take their child and move them to another direction, another school. That's going to have a fairly dramatic impact on the Education Trust Fund. Those monies will come out of the Education Trust Fund and will be given directly to the individual. And I'm sure that you've noticed that homeschooling has increased. It's increased across the country. Well, one of the reasons was the pandemic. Obviously, people had to keep their children at school, at home. And the virtual presentation wasn't as effective in many areas as it should have been because broadband was not available. And the governor did sign a broadband bill which allowed for expansion of broadband and allowed for a situation where the municipality could appropriate some money. That money could be matched with federal money and you could increase broadband. So those things are going to happen. But charter schools will have free, if you close a school building in this town, the charter schools will have first dibs on buying it if it comes up for sale or for another use that you're not using it for. Interesting. A lot of money's available for charter schools. A lot of money, and that is going to happen. So, I mean, those have a dramatic effect on public education. The public education system in this town has proved to be excellent. The test scores are good. I think you went back and ran the schools pretty much as they should have been run, and did it effectively. And the school can be very proud of the education that it produces. We've had some problems in Manchester. The dropout rate is terrible. This virus gave everybody who has any concern about education sincere and significant scare. When you have a dropout rate 10, 20%, where do those kids go? And how do you find them? And throughout the country, they've spent lots and lots of money chasing every one of those kids and trying to get them back into school. In Manchester, we've had some concerns about that. But
Excuse me, Senator, I got, just to let you know, at
Yep.
6:30, I have a public hearing
okay,
posted, but you got 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. All right, go to school. Okay. Okay.
I just don't want to cut you off.
The basic 5.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So anyway, that's a quick précis on where we are, what we're doing, and where we're going. I think polarization it's present in the legislative process, and that's not a good thing. Not one Democrat voted for the passage of the budget in the House or the Senate. And the animus that sometimes has been created has been difficult to deal with. You know, you got 5 people sitting around this board, different political persuasions, but you have some, you know, synergy. Well, we don't have a lot of synergy in the legislature anymore. Collis, you were in the legislature. At one time, it was a pretty decent place. I served in the House. I've served on the council. I've served in the Senate for a long time. We've got to restore that. We've got to restore basic human principles where we disagree without being disagreeable. I think that's a bad omen that's come out of this legislative session. And of course, we had the terrible situation of the speaker passing away before he actually got to be speaker, which is again a terrible situation. So we probably have 2 minutes left. You can answer now. I'd like to take any questions you might have on anything and try to address them.
Anybody got anything for the Senator?
I just had a quick line. You're talking about the water and sending water south.
Yeah.
Is Manchester drawing water out of the Merrimack River yet?
Not yet, but it's a secondary source.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the people at the waterworks as to, do we have enough of a supply that's available in Massabesic? They say yes, we do, but they will be drawing. Eventually, they'll be drawing from the river. That's the plan. That's the plan. And hopefully, we can, over the course of time, eliminate wells and get, public water available to people. It makes a tremendous difference. The wells are in trouble.
I don't know if there's a quick answer to this, but how are all of these policy issues finding their way into bills that are fiscal bills? I mean, if you can just quickly.
Yeah.
Is it
My answer to that is
partisanship again?
right. Sure, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And as the chairman of the House Finance Committee said, unless these bills are in, there will be no budget. And I've never heard that before. And Kenny Weiler's a very good friend of mine. I've served with him. I served with him in the House, and some of you probably served with him. I know you have, Jimmy. And I've never heard that said before. But those policy bills found their way in, and they're there. And if you think passing them was tough, think about trying to repeal them.
Yeah.
All right, so I do have a public hearing scheduled for 6:30.
Great.
I want to appreciate
Always
you
great to
coming
be
in and
here.
updating us.
Thank you,
Always.
Senator.
Thank you,
Thank
Senator.
Thank you guys, and have a great American day. Take
There you go,
care.
thank you.
Keep smiling. That's the issue.
So as I said, we have a public hearing scheduled at 6:30. New Hampshire RSA 41:14-B, adoption of town ordinance, traffic ordinances. In compliance with RSA 41:14-B, the Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing to accept public input pertaining to the following proposed ordinances. Proposed ordinance entitled Meadowlark Lane, Benjamin Drive, Kimberly Lane, speed limit ordinance. Reduce speed on Meadowlark Lane, Benjamin Drive, and Kimberly Lane to 25 miles an hour. Proposed ordinance entitled Juniper Drive, speed limit ordinance. Reduce speed on Juniper Drive to 25 miles per hour. Proposed ordinance entitled Stop Sign on Higgins Street at the intersection of Cross Streets ordinance. To install a stop sign on Higgins Street at the intersection of Cross Street. And proposed ordinance entitled Riverview Park Road Speed Limit Ordinance. To change the speed limit on Riverview Park to 25 miles an hour. A vote on these ordinances is scheduled for 8/9/21. And at this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak to these ordinances? Who would like to speak to them? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And again, a vote on these ordinances scheduled for 8/9/21. What's next? Just jumping around here.
That's fine. Town administrator.
Huh?
Town administrator, I think, is next.
Yep. Go ahead, Doug.
At tab 5, you have your committee meeting scheduled for the next 2 weeks. On Wednesday of this week at 6:30 PM, the HGC will meet at Grassmere Town Hall. And then on Thursday at 6 PM, CIP will meet in this room.
Yep.
Next week, I did find out this afternoon that EDC on Wednesday is canceled. Joanne sent that information out, and I can have her follow up with you on that, Chet. Thursday of next week at 6 PM, CIP will begin deliberations here. And then at 6:30 PM, the Village Piscataqua River Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee will meet over at Parks and Rec Building.
You have it?
You have your consent agenda, you have employee status reports, a firefighter resignation, a part-time AEMT to firefighter 1 AEMT merit increase. You have a part-time EMT new hire, full-time firefighter new hire, a crossing guard resignation, a per diem building secretary new hire, and then one that was added this afternoon and in your folder is an educational incentive for a bachelor's degree for a patrol officer. You have a discharge of property lien for map 3, lot 65C-4. You have a payment in lieu of taxes warrant for Gentle Slope Solar North LLC and South LLC. This is the pilot agreement for the solar arrays off of Shirley Hill Road. It needs a signature of the board. And then health officer and deputy health officer renewal nomination form.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Chet, seconded by Mark. Any discussion, questions? I guess my only question is the per diem secretary. Is that,
That is a temporary, that's a temporary thing that we're putting in place while we hire a new, our current building secretary is leaving us for full-time work. We have the part-time position advertised, and we're getting in applications now. The per diem secretary is also the building secretary in the town of New Boston. We don't have a memorandum of understanding with that town for that position, so we brought her on as a per diem to help out on Mondays and Fridays until we have somebody in here.
thank you. Again, we have the motion was by Chet, seconded by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, motion carries.
At 5C, you have some information about the voluntary age-in-place certification, and Connor Leva's here as well. As you recall, Connor came to you at your June meeting to present the concept. What you have in your packet here is you have the modified building permit application, and I've highlighted and circled where that age-in-place would be. There's also an application for inspection for the age-in-place certification, as well as the actual certification, and there's also a checklist that the building inspector will be using. Working with the town assessor, we have found a location on all of the assessing cards where we can put the certification and the date of the inspection and put it on there. So I think that with this time we have everything to go into place for this. We would recommend that you use the current building inspection re-inspection fee of $30 for this process, and then we would just modify the fee schedule the next time we hold a public hearing to clearly call out what age in place is.
Anybody got any questions?
Motion to adopt the voluntary age-in-place certification process is presented this evening.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
I just want to say thank you to Connor for putting
Yes,
this
Connor,
together.
great job, thanks.
Thank you.
Connor, appreciate it.
On to your next project, right?
Yeah. Well, Connor's only with us for about 1 month more, so, yeah, so.
Use them hard for the next month.
Yeah. At tab 5D, you have the vote on adoption of town ordinance. This is for the water quality ordinance. You held public hearings on June 28th and July 12th. And a copy of that ordinance is in your packet this evening.
I'll make a motion to adopt the water quality ordinance with an effective date of July 27th, 2021, as it was presented during 2 required public hearings and included in the board's packet in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 41:14-B.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? I think we've talked about this enough. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Motion carries 5-0.
At tab 5E, you have the vote on the conservation easement. This is for portions of 2 lots off of Snook Road, a total of 17 acres, a conservation easement to be held by Piscataquag Land Conservancy. The Conservation Commission has voted unanimously to approve the release of funds from the Land Use Change Tax Conservation Fund, and the Planning Board has voted to recommend the acquisition of this conservation easement, and you held the required public hearings on June 28th and July 12th for this.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the acquisition of an executory interest on a 17-acre conservation easement being conveyed to the Piscataquag Land Conservancy on portions of map 7, lots 88, 88B, located on Snook Road in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 41:14-A, and to authorize the town administrator to execute any necessary closing documents.
And I'd like to second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Also, again, we've had public hearings on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, 5-0.
Peter, I'd like to recognize David Neiman and thank him for his great work on this project. Without his tireless efforts, this probably would not have occurred, so thank you very much, David, for your work on this.
That's not the first time you've done things like this, huh, David?
It is not.
Thank you.
At tab 5F, you have an approval tracking form from the Planning and Economic Development Director. This is an access and utility easement on Tower Lane. This is for the sports dome. This is one of the last required. This is a change of access easement to meet fire department's needs.
Is everybody familiar with this project?
Yep.
I just asked for a motion to accept the easement as presented.
Make a motion, we approve the easement as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries 5-0.
And at tab 5G, the last item for you this evening, IT is working with the police department to purchase the rugged mobile data terminals. These are the terminals that go into the police cruisers. In the past, the select board had authorized sole source to one vendor. However, when we got pricing this time, the pricing had gone up considerably. He reached out to other vendors to see what pricing was. And we're asking for you to authorize sole source purchase for these 3 rugged MDTs and the installation and warranty costs. I have not provided the quotes to you. That it just with technology, it's a little bit difficult because we want to get something that meets our needs as well as our network and security needs. So that's why we're bringing this request forward to you, because the total cost is between $18,000 and $20,000, which would be an RFP. But we don't believe that we would get apples to apples submissions for that.
Sure. And this is in the budget?
Yes, it is. Yes, this is part of our IT. They replace 3 every year. So this is part of their regular budget.
So the 3 quotes don't. I don't.
They would be
had
going
3
with
quotes.
it. Yeah, he did. He actually got 4 quotes from 3 different vendors of tablets that would fit their need. So he is going with the lowest, but under our purchasing policy, anything over $10,000 requires sealed bid.
Motion?
Yep. Motion to authorize sole source purchase under section 4.3 of the purchasing policy to purchase rugged MDTs for installation and warranty costs in police cruisers.
Yep,
We'll watch that Storage Wars.
I always do. Yep,
Yep.
yep.
Motion by Chet, seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries 5-0. I guess on the new business, is that next thing?
Yes. This is at tab 7. With all the special event permits that have been issued over the last year, we've had 2 issues that have kind of come up that I brought forward to the board. I talked to the chair beforehand. The first would be, now that some of the COVID restrictions are changing, is it appropriate to issue special event permits for recurring events? And specifically, you had public comment, not at your last meeting, but at the meeting before, about special event permits for outdoor concerts at an establishment, where normally we might see that it would be more appropriate that they go for either a site plan waiver or a site plan adjustment, rather than special events for recurring events, where they're recurring every weekend through the whole season. So I guess because one of the issues that did come up is we checked with the police department, and under the noise ordinance, they are not in violation of the noise ordinance.
The question with that is then how do you coordinate somebody from not having 2 bands playing at the same time? If you don't do the special event permit.
You mean 2 neighboring places?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem that could come from it.
I think my big, Peter, if I could, my biggest concern with recurring events is circumstances can change from one date to the next. And if we approve a series of events, then they're approved. And they would be approved with certain conditions, certain restrictions, certain things are incumbent upon the event organizers. But again, that may change from this week to next, to 2 weeks, to a month. So I guess that would be my biggest concern.
There's no public comment during this portion of the meeting.
Okay, I just have a question. Why is that new business when it's been brought up 3 times already to the town?
What's that?
About this noise ordinance has been brought up 3 times.
Okay, we're not, this is something different right now. This is nothing to do with the ordinance.
Oh.
The not noise ordinance. This is something different.
Oh, I thought it
You're
was a
talking
special
about,
event.
are you talking about in Pernodville?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's,
that would be number 8?
no, this is in general. If you want to bring it up during the public, if you have questions during the next public comment, would be the time to ask questions or state your position on that.
Okay, we'll wait. Thank you.
So, that's would be my question on that, like down here on Main Street, say there was something going on at Rotary Park and something down the corner. I mean, so I still think that reoccurring should come in for the permit only for possibly coordination.
Yep. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, no, you need the context. Once you start approving recurring,
Yep.
you lose context. and you lose
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Jim.
So like, say some restaurant wants to have music. Under this permit now, they keep it, if they have like music every Saturday, they don't need a permit to renew the permit?
So that's what happened in a certain case.
What I'm thinking
Yeah.
about is, if you have a little group and you get a permit, and then a month later you get a hard rock thing, that's a whole different music thing. How do you control that?
Well, I think one of the issues is somebody's using an outdoor venue as part of their business. I mean, that's, whereas before,
no doubt about it.
during COVID, we kind of did it because of the way you couldn't have the gatherings inside the building. That's kind of gone now, and you can have that gathering inside the building now. You know, but some people are still using that ordinance or that permit to keep it outside. So now it becomes a regular venue on the outside, the way we did that particular permit. Now, how do you go back on that? I don't know. We've already signed it. We already said they could do it. So I'm not sure how we do that, Derek, unless you went, like you said, go for a site plan review and say,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you as a board have the choice where you could modify the permit that was already approved based on the change in the ability to have indoor events at this point. You could do nothing until the end of the season. I think that ignores a little bit of the concerns that have been brought forward to the board. I really see those as your two options. And if you took that special permit away or modified it for to cut it short, they would have the ability to come in and apply for a separate one, or they could go to the planning board or the planning office to see if they could have it become a permanent allowable use as that outdoor venue.
I don't know, it's a tough question. I mean, if it was, even if you did it down in the common, say somebody was gonna have a weekly band thing at the common or something, or if we had a bandstand out there like some towns do, I think Keene has one, and they actually have regular outdoor concerts and stuff, and it, but I understand the situation at that location, and I think we need to do something to quiet it down. Either have them come in, change their hours, I don't know, What are you thinking, Collis?
Well, I think in general, I don't think the request for a special events permit is overly burdensome. It's, the town, in my experience, has dealt with these things, the departments have dealt with them very expeditiously. It's not like it's taken weeks and months to get these permits issued, so I just don't see that it's that big of a burden on anybody who wants to hold a special event. And if it's going to be recurring, again, I don't want to reiterate what I said, but, I mean, things can change. Things have changed. COVID's gone now.
Right.
So again, those are my comments and my feelings on it.
I agree with that, but the only thing I'm struggling with is I would like our prior approvals to have some integrity. So to modify it halfway through is the only part that I struggle with, yet we have a real concern and things have changed. So that's kind of what I'm working through in my mind right now.
Well, I would,
That
I'm
means-
sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm sorry, Chad, I didn't mean to.
No, I just
I would
open
assume if they're
discussion
gonna
on
come in to
this.
modify, they would have to come back for
Yep.
a subsequent
Definitely
approval to
come back,
modify
yeah.
the permit that was issued. I think that could be pretty straightforward.
COVID was COVID, and it
That's
changed
right.
all the rules, so it's the perfect time and the perfect, to make them come in. Let's review what we got, because COVID changed everything, so I guess, to your point, it doesn't bother me as much, because things just changed that we never had to deal with before.
So, in that event, just talking off the top of my head, if variant comes out and they go back into a closed down type of thing, would we allow them to go back outside? If we use that excuse, COVID's gone, but something else comes back and it causes that same type of scenario, do we all of a sudden say, oh, it's okay to go back outside?
Well,
I think that's that classic cross that bridge when
yeah,
we get there.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you say that, but if you use it for the excuse that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
If it affects the health of the citizens, then we
Yeah.
might have to do that. I mean, these are extraordinary things that are happening here,
They have the opportunity now to go in or out. And I mean, if something comes back, it's basically out of their control, and I mean, they're forced outside. I have no issue with that myself, and, I mean, let's review the plan, look at the plan, and
So I think what you're saying, what I'm hearing is, if they have the ability to bring that venue inside the building, that's what they should be doing.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah.
And you?
It doesn't matter to me where they do it, but I do think they should come in for a permit to be outside at this point.
Well, they did.
Special event permit. Right, but not recurring. That's the piece of them that we're talking about, correct?
Well, they have a
We've approved
recurring
something
now,
recurring, yeah.
we gave it to them, not realizing that was gonna be such a,
But again, Peter, if I could, I mean, a special events permit is for a specific event in a specific location, specific time, specific activities. Anything that changes, that events permit doesn't hold anymore. You gotta come back in, modify it or get a new one.
all right, so I would say that what I'm hearing here is the consensus is we bring them in and modify their event permit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay. So you need a motion on that?
Yeah, I guess, because in the interim, you're not meeting until August 9th. So I think if you set a date of
August 9th.
August 9th, that, and they could come in for an additional special event permit, you could take them on a, case-by-case basis.
Okay. Can I get the police chief to chime in just on an update on what's happened?
Regarding the permits or?
Yeah, well, let's talk about, out in Penobville where the neighbors have complaining about the outdoor music. Have we been going out there and keeping an eye on things? or-
So we've had a couple situations that we talked to the board about during public comment a couple of meetings ago. We've been going over there and checking it out. Now we're starting to figure out that the neighbors are not happy, so they're playing their music loud to try to combat the other loud music.
I understand there's a battle of the bands going out
Yep,
there
so
right now.
what we're trying to do is let them know, like, if you have issues, call us so we can come out and investigate it. Don't just, you potentially violate our town orders by, increasing your volume and playing back and forth. The thing is when we look at this town ordinance and you look at the violation, between 10 p.m. and 7 in the morning, it also talks about if it's inside, if you hear from 50 feet from the lot line, it's still, an issue. And I will go back to my interpretation of our ordinance, and as I told the board before, that talks about, if it's affecting a person of reasonable sensibility, it's an issue. Obviously, we want our businesses to have some revenue and events, but we have to be mindful of our community members who want the quality of life. So we've been being attentive to it, but this is where we're at right now.
Anybody got anything else? So I guess our thing is we're gonna have them come in for a review of their permit in August.
Okay, we'll make notice of that.
Okay, get them in.
Okay.
All right. Now, on to the next thing, Main Street.
So the other issue that's come up with the special
Eric,
event,
you might as well sit because I know you're involved in this one too.
currently, there is an ordinance that limits parking on Main Street to 2 hours. How does the select board wish to address that for special event permits? I don't think we have handled this in the past. The chief was kind enough to review the traffic ordinance. There is a provision in there that under special conditions, the select board or the police chief can waive enforcement of that restriction. And we can include that in future special events that impact parking along Main Street. But currently, right now, we have, I would say, 3 special event permits. Well, actually, I would say 4. You've got the Uncommon Art on the Common, you have the bike rally, you have the pumpkin regatta, and then you have lights to light up the Christmas tree, so Friday night under the light. So you really have those 4 special events that are out there now that the board could make the determination to consider that a special condition and waive enforcement of the 2-hour parking during the time of those events or not.
This is one of the things that I've seen, okay, is, and only because I was working the event, that a vendor was parked 2 vehicles in front of the trestle while they had their setup at the Rotary Park. And their vehicles were there all day long. So that limits Elm Street parking. And the same thing could happen across the street from the Common or along by Sawyer's or any of that area. But it's all 2-hour parking. So I'm not sure how you would handle that.
I mean, other than enforce the ordinance that says it's 2-hour parking, chalking tires and saying, hey.
And nobody wants to do that.
No, I know you don't.
We don't have a parking
Well, we've got a parking problem.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, I'm just saying, but, The reason I could tell you how that, I know about that because I got called out on it. That's how I knew it was a 2-hour parking limit. And the police department called and told me I had to move my car, I was gonna get a ticket.
So see, it works.
So I'm just saying that I know what was happening, I could see something coming along that, that could eventually cause a problem. So I think we have some obligation to protect our businesses on Main Street.
Absolutely.
Is there any way that we can come up with a plan that once, like for your example, at the trestle, once you're unloaded, I mean, we'll give you the benefit of the 2 hours, but after that, if you're there, check, you're gonna get a ticket, and we can
The
specifically.
problem is who's gonna monitor that?
I mean, who else? I mean, I know it's an added burden to the police department, but I mean, for the 1, 2, or 3 times a year that we do it, I mean, there it is. And I mean, yeah, the people are gonna complain, but I mean, they should be smart enough and kind enough. Once they've unloaded from wherever they are, they should know that there are a dozen businesses along Main Street here that need to survive and thrive. And if they don't move, they're taking away business from everybody else that's here on Main Street. I know it's an inconvenience for the police department, Peter, but, I mean, they enforce, or we all enforce that rule, we enforce that regulation. 2 hours is up, and I hate to say it, yeah, take a piece of chalk and chalk the tires. I mean, we're going way back there, but, I mean,
I don't know, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if
I
I
mean-
may, for
Go right ahead, Eric.
I think that we have two different situations here. We want to protect our businesses for the parking, but we also want to bring more people into our community, right? To
correct.
come to the Pumpkin Regatta and enjoy this wonderful event and these bigger events that we have. I will tell you that, to Selectman LeMay's point, we will enforce it if we have to. If we're getting called, we will enforce it. The problem I have, or I foresee, is it's a parking ticket violation. So our officers will go down there. Let's just say hypothetically, we actually do break out some chalk and chalk that tire, and it's 2 hours, and we document it. We're going to write a $25 ticket, and we're going to walk away. So that car is still going to be there with $25 ticket. Nothing in our ordinance or state law at this point requires us to ticket, call in Duvals or whoever, and tow that car off of Main Street. So in this is kind of what we went back to with the last year during the pandemic with the parking at Glen Lake, where we increased the fine. People were paying $25 to park there all day to hang out and park. That was their parking fee. Essentially, that's what they did. They paid the ticket and parked at Glen Lake all day. So I think we can do that, and we'd be more than happy to enforce the laws and the ordinances that the board has put out there. The problem is they're going to write a ticket and that's it.
How about if we made it part of the event permit that anybody that organizer is required to put in their instructions that there was a 2-hour parking limit on Main Street?
That makes sense to me. I was even thinking that with all the events that we just mentioned, there's plenty of off-street parking. We have to walk a little way, but we can do a better job of even instructing people this is the best place to park should you plan to be here longer than 2 hours. Like, rather than.
And can we authorize the business owner or ourselves to put up some temporary cones with signs on them that said maximum 2-hour parking along the way? Because those signs, as you well know, you parked in front of it, you didn't even know it was there. Maybe that's what we need to do too during a special event.
Like I said, it happens 3, 4, maybe 5 times a year, Peter. I mean, let's somehow prepare ourselves so that when this event does come up, we can help the business people, and we can help the police department by not having to write as many tickets,
I think that's probably one of the things we could try doing before we get that carried away is, just some signs that's stuck in an orange cone, 2-hour parking along the sidewalk, and, just go along that way during a special event.
And potentially more advertising of our public
Right.
parking.
I think that's a key. If you see it, drive 100 yards down the road, take a right, and then a left, and you can park all day. So-
Either way, you can
Oh, yeah.
go Church Street this
Yeah.
way or
Yeah,
this way.
it doesn't matter, right.
Okay, that's something to work on.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
think-
Carlos.
I think that public outreach and education component is really important because I think a lot of people just aren't aware of it. But maybe we can consider as part of the special event permit process, what do you anticipate for people attending or traffic? I mean, if we don't know, let's face it, we've got a limited inventory of parking spaces. It ain't much. You know, and it's kind of first come, first serve in my mind. You know, you're first to get your event permit. You say, yeah, I figure I'm going to get 25 people driving to this. Well, we need to identify 25 parking spaces. And the next one comes in and says, I need 50. Well, we don't have 50.
Yeah.
So, and you know,
Well, how you
and I
judge
hate
that
that-
pumpkin
I-
weekend? It's like,
you can't. You can't. It's,
you know.
you know, it's the same old thing. We've been fighting this forever. We're poor when it comes to available parking downtown, and it's unfortunate. And we've tried to identify parcels of land that we could acquire to provide more public parking. It's just not happening.
Well, we do have a piece that someday
We hope.
the building's gonna get torn
We
down.
hope.
I'm not sure when that's gonna be.
Anyway,
Yeah, so I think that's the way to do it. We just, first, we try different things, maybe some temporary signs on the event day and,
And for those people or those organizations that have permits, contact them and make sure they know any vendors or anybody are aware of that.
I can tell you that the Trestle got together with the police department and the fire department, and due to the parking situation, they're gonna line the bikes up down Mill Street, so it won't be on Main Street. So that'll help that out on that particular day. Because, I mean, you could put 100 bikes and take up all the parking in town.
Derek, is there a process for people who want to provide parking for a fee? And I'm thinking of like Parsons Landing, that big field. Hey, here's a place to park during the pumpkin regatta. You know, I don't know who owns
Parsons
it.
Landing is our property, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm thinking out
Yeah,
loud.
it's the cemetery trustee.
Yes.
I'm thinking out loud, which is dangerous. But and what I'm getting at is
Yeah.
maybe there's parcels that people knew they could maybe make a little extra money on an event weekend.
Well, it's just like, it's like when you go to Hopkinton Fair, you drive up there,
Right.
park here with the sign, you know, little flag, park
Yep.
here, $5, $10. I mean, that's possible.
I think I have direction on this, so.
Okay. And
And
then,
I could park 20 cars at my place.
yeah, but who wants to hike back up there?
Get it out of the event's not a problem.
All right, I think that's it.
Okay.
I'm thinking, you all set with that, Eric?
I'm good for now.
Okay, old business, the pump station, we're working on that still, more or less.
Sewer is working on the plans. You did have a couple of questions at your last meeting. One was the cost of a porta potty. Currently, Parks and Rec takes advantage of the state contract, $63.75 per month.
That's cheap money.
So
And then plus pumping, or does that include pumping?
that includes the pumping and the required cleanings and all the product and everything with it. So if you'd like, I can have Rick have one brought over there for the rest of the season. And then the other question was the ordinance. This went to the Parks and Recs commissioners on Wednesday to discuss whether or not they wanted to have any dusk to dawn ordinance similar to what we have over at the waterfront. They did not have an opinion one way or the other. I did talk to the police chief. He had one call of service between January 2020 and June of 21 to go down to investigate at the pump station. So I don't know if you still want to move forward with an ordinance or not. And I would say an ordinance would be similar, it'd be a dusk to dawn, no alcoholic beverages, glass, carry in, carry out, that kind of thing.
It was my impression that the Parks and Rec Commission thought that maybe along the building going down into that part might be a good spot to have it dawn to dusk. And then I know we have the letter from Andy. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I should read that.
Yeah,
into the record.
yeah.
Okay.
like-
So this is from Andrew Carteret, Chair of the Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee, dated July 19th. Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee comments. Background, Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee was established by the Select Board July 22nd, 2019 meeting. The goal of the committee is to evaluate all town-owned properties along Glen Lake Waterfront and make recommendations to the Select Board for improvements and/or changes. At the July 12th, 2021 meeting, the Select Board reviewed plans from the Sewer Commission to install a gate restricting vehicular access to the East Union Street pump station. As part of the presentation, the Sewer Commission recommendations provided by the Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee for the East Union Pumping Station were presented regarding this town-owned property. Comments. As Chair of the Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee, I would like to provide the following comments regarding installation of gate restricting vehicular access to the East Union Street Pump Station. Consistent with the Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee's final report presented to the Select Board on March 9, 2020, any improvements to the East Union Pumping Station property should seek to maintain and improve erosion control, ensure public safety, allow for the responsible public access, including providing for public parking and stabilize and preserve the shoreline. Additionally, I would like to highlight the committee's priority recommendation made. The report strongly urged the Select Board to explore the creation of a capital reserve fund to provide ongoing maintenance resources to ensure safe public access for all town-owned properties along Glen Lake Waterfront. I thank the Select Board for the opportunity to comment and for the work being done to provide safe public access to town-owned properties along the Glen Lake Waterfront. And again, it's signed by Andrew Carteret, Chair, Glen Lake Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee. Mark?
So my only fear is, and concern is, we don't do anything there. We leave it the way it is. We have a dawn to dusk at Glen Lake Beach. Everybody.
No, we don't.
Well, we don't, but yeah,
It's
we
10
do.
o'clock, right, Glen Lake Beach? Call us?
9 a.m.,
Yeah.
it's 9 p.m.
9 p.m. So it's
9
not
So,
good.
but everybody's gonna leave there and come over here and continue. I would be in favor of whatever's going to happen at Glen Lake's gonna happen over at
Yeah.
the pumping station, boat area, whatever. Identically the same that way there. They can not say, well, I didn't know, I thought it was the same as over there. Just
So you just want to stay with 9 to 9?
9 to 9. That's my,
I think that's good. The Glen Lake's a little different too in that there's a boat ramp there that has to be open 24/7 because it's
Correct.
built with federal funds.
Yeah.
So that ramp and the boat parking spaces have to be available around the clock.
So, here again, Parks and Rec, I would recommend, and I think we should recommend, that we do a 9 to 9 there, because all we could possibly be doing is moving them from one place to another place.
Yep, yep,
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's just down the street, especially from a rail trail, just,
yep.
And then the Glen Lake Waterfront is actually 9 to 5 a.m. And then the parking restriction is 9 to 9. But if you like, I'll draft up an ordinance that mirrors the Glen Lake Waterfront, and we'll publicize that for public hearing.
yes, it'd be great.
And I think the sewer commission was gonna come up with a plan. Weren't they gonna draw up a plan?
Yes, they're working with DPW on that and to do that, so I'll talk to the chair of the sewer
Peter,
commission.
do they need the okay from us for the porta potty, or is that just go as?
I don't know, I think they need us
Okay.
to approve it.
I
Do
can
they?
talk to Rick and have a
Okay,
place
all
there
right.
for the rest of the
Yep.
year, and then he can include that in his next year's budget.
Yep,
Okay, on the action matrix, we're still waiting to hear from the county.
We've been working with them. I provided additional information to the county administrator. They have a meeting this Wednesday, so.
Chet, we're working on reviewing the personnel plan policies.
Yep, multiple conversations around that.
Okay. And ad hoc, your village petition, Brad, you guys will have that report pretty quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're meeting on August 5th, and I anticipate that will be the ad hoc committee's last meeting to finalize the report, and you'll have that presentation probably the last meeting in August.
Yeah, the draft's pretty solid, it just needs tweaking.
We put in for a grant for the assessing preservation of tax maps.
And all those vehicles should have been removed, so,
Oh, they're all back?
yeah, they are all back, so.
Cool. Okay. Now we have public comment. Sorry to keep you waiting, but we have a process.
No, that's fine. I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize for my boys.
The boys.
Boys will be boys, yep.
So I just want to make it clear, my name is Susan Crowley. We live at 10 Elmwood Ave. We do not play our music in battle. I called the cops last weekend. I was trying to put my 4 sons to bed, and I could hear the music in my house clear as day, with the windows shut and my AC running. So I called and I asked them to come out. They talked to my wife. I did not talk to them, but then my neighbor had fallen asleep with his music running. But I just don't want the attention to be on him. It's how loud it is. And it's right behind our house and my neighbor's house. Other people around are a little bit further away, so they're not as close. We cannot be in our backyard after 5:30 p.m. with the safety of our kids. You see how rambunctious they are. We need to be able to talk to them if they're 5 feet away from us. We cannot after 5:30 p.m. So I am happy to see that it will be on the agenda next month. I just hope we don't have to keep on coming down. You know, we'll watch it from home and hopefully it does get taken care of. But I do want to make it clear that we're trying to do the right thing. We didn't call 911, we called the Riverland Line dispatcher and asked them to come out. But just to make
We got your
clear-
message, we know what
Thank
we're
you.
trying, but there's a process.
No,
we have-
and we totally understand, and that's why I was confused when I saw it as new business. I thought that's what it was, and really, we were surprised it wasn't on the agenda last meeting when our neighbors were on vacation. We didn't see it brought up at all, so that's why we came down today. We wanted to make sure it does get
We
some
had it on
attention.
our agenda today, so.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank
And I
you very much.
appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else here for public comment?
So sorry.
Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Entertain a motion.
Non-public session, RSA 91A:3, 2A, personnel and dismissal, compensation, and discipline.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. All in favor?
That's
Aye.
a
Aye.
roll
Roll
call.
call, I'm sorry, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Chet. Myself, yes.
Yes.
College, Jim? Yes. That'll conclude our public portion of tonight's meeting. We'll now be going into non-public.